Hi there, this is Rajat here from Startup Frat, welcoming you to this video. So a few days earlier, I'd made a video on how to get sales or how to ask for money. Some people mentioned, well, you talked about, the before and after, but you never talked about the during, how do I ask for money? I've got, I keep getting sweats and, it seems very awkward. That is absolutely true. So I'm going to address all the different aspects around it. And I don't have a lot of notes. I'm just kind of going to go with the flow. So this could be a long lesson. Yeah, this could be a long lesson. People in the academy always tell me if you don't come with notes, a 30-minute team call ends up being like 2 hours or something. Okay, but yeah, we won't make it 2 hours, but this is going to be a long lesson. It'll absolutely give you a lot of bang for the buck. Now, if you're a corporate professional who's trying to get into business or who's trying to set up their own business in order to escape from the whole job situation, etc., then you need to understand this, because a lot of times what happens is people quit corporate, they start their own agency, they start their own service. They're very good at providing the service, but they're not very good at positioning the service, which basically means if they get a client, they're more likely to provide much more satisfaction to the client, if they have been a corporate professional in the same area. But they are less likely to be able to get the clients in the first place, because positioning and selling of the product or of your service is very different than actually providing the service. So that's one you'll probably gain from this lesson. The second thing is, if you are a certified professional like a doctor, lawyer, chartered accountant, and architect, you're facing a unique situation where the market today is oversupplied as vis-a-vis the demand. Okay, and as such, with the slowdown with relation to the pandemic, people are not getting out of the house, not really going to a doctor unless it is for a very emergency reason. So the market has shrunk. Same with lawyers, chartered accountants, etc. So positioning and providing the service and landing big ticket clients, very, very important. Now, usually when doctors think about themselves, they think about patients who come to them in emergency so that they can do a surgery, or who come to them with these lifestyle diseases like, blood sugar or cholesterol or whatever it is. But there is a whole realm of healthcare that lies outside this emergency situation. This is very relevant even to small business owners. I'll come to that in just a second. Okay, so you need to think outside the box. You need to think about providing value that people do not even know that they need. Providing value that people do not even know that they need. Then you have small business owners. I'm already providing a small product or service, a commoditized product or commoditized service, but the way to actually expand out into the market is to go above and beyond. So ascend from the commoditized segment into the concept segment. I showed you 6 segments in that previous lesson. So you got to ascend from segments 3 and 4 into segments 5 and 6, right? Into concept segments, which is where the big game is played. The profitability is better, customer retention is better, and repeat customer business is much higher. Okay, now if you're in the commodity segment where you're running, let's say, a medical store, you're running a stationery store, you're running a grocery store, of course there is repeat business. But I'm talking about high ticket business where the profits actually expand. Rather than just the same customer coming in again and again and the profit stays constant, which could be 15-20%. So small business owners stand to gain from that. And then there's a whole category of people called performance marketers who are actually selling third-party products. Now, when you sell third-party products, the profit margin is very less, and the amount of effort it takes to move a third-party product is much higher than it takes to move your own product. Okay, so I'll just write all these down just to give you an illustration of what I mean. Okay, so you got a corporate professional, then you got a certified professional like a doctor, lawyer, chartered accountant or whatever. Then you got a small business owner, and then you got performance marketers, which are, you could say, mutual fund selling, LIC selling, you have real estate brokers, you have multi-level marketers, you have affiliate marketers. If you're in this segment, your primary income is dependent on moving third-party products. Okay, and moving these third-party products is not easy. If you're an affiliate marketer, multi-level marketer, you'd know it's very, very competitive, and there are hundreds of people who are doing the same thing that you're doing. Same with real estate, hundreds of people promoting the same exact scheme or same exact builder that you're promoting. LIC, competing with thousands of LIC agents all across the country. Mutual funds, same thing, very confusing market. Customer is confused, and you're competing not only against other mutual fund companies, you're competing against other mutual fund sellers for the same company, right? So performance marketing, not very easy. Small business owner, low profit but recurrent business, certified professional. There is no time to actually find business. So you're basically sitting at one place, you're expecting your reputation to get you the business, Your time is too valuable to be sitting around convincing customers. Your time is too valuable to be sitting around convincing customers. And then corporate professionals haven't really started, don't want to risk it, quitting their job first, and then figuring out how to do business. And in any which ways, even if you set up your own agency, your own practice or something like that, finding the first high-paying customer is the key question. Okay, so that's a big question mark. Now, what I recommend to people who are already in a job is find a few low-paying customers before you actually quit your job, and then outsource the service to somebody who's already in the market. Outsource it to somebody who's already in the market. Keep your own label, collect the payment from the customer, pay somebody else to deliver that service, and then you'll get a feel for that. Okay, you'll get a feel for that. A lot of people say, well, my job doesn't give me enough time in the week to actually do that. You can do that if you can do up to 30 hours a week constantly. In about 4 to 6 weeks, you should be able to get your first couple of high-paying customers from the information that I'm going to give you in this video. Okay, so just if you're in any of these segments, just watch carefully and implement towards the very end. If you're new over here, we are going to have later this week a high performer interview, who has been in some of these segments. He's been a corporate professional before, then he came to performance marketing, and then he became a consultant for relationship building among couples and all of that. So he's been in 2 or 3 segments, and you can hear from him how he was able to turn all of these difficult situations, quitting a corporate job, getting into business for himself, getting into performance marketing, building big teams. Then due to whatever, when you're in performance marketing, your revenue is dependent on the rules made by the company, the market dynamics that are not controlled by you. So how his business went up and down. Then he figured out that there is a certain way in which he can help his entire team perform better. So he got into relationship counseling, and so he's got experience across all of these, but how he's been able to turn around his business in the last 4 to 6 weeks using the same techniques that I'm just going to share with you in this video. Now, quick note, if you're watching this video anywhere outside the Facebook Hangout, anywhere outside our Hangout group of 20,000 plus entrepreneurs and wannabe entrepreneurs, if you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere else, maybe on our website or something like that, the first thing that you want to do is you want to head over to our Hangout group if you want access to all of these live events, and all of this exciting stuff happens only in the Facebook Hangout. So if you're watching this outside the Facebook Hangout, then what you want to do is you want to head over to startupfrat.club/Facebook. Okay, sorry for the horrible handwriting over here. Yeah, by qualification, I'm a medical doctor. So, even the fonts on our computers are wonky. Yeah, those fonts are not available anywhere else. So if you ever get an email from your doctor that you can't read, trust me, you won't find that font on your own computer. startupfrat.club/Facebook. Okay, so if you're watching this video anywhere outside, you want to head over there, join up right now so that you don't miss all of this action with all of these live sessions, celebrity interviews, etc. Okay, now let's get started. How do you do sales? I'll just get you into the core of the sales meeting, and then I'll talk to you about what you need to do before and after the sales meeting in order to get into a situation where you're consistently generating at least 6 figures a month, over and outside whatever you're doing today, with at least 40 to 50% profit. Some of the people that are in our in the Startup Frat Academy who've utilized our hands-on support, etc., to do this are running about 70 to 80% profit. Okay, so that means the money that they use to actually deliver the product or service is only 10% of the actual revenue. So we'll basically go into all of that towards the second half of the video. Let's talk about how to get sales. What is the sales meeting? Biggest problem with people who are trying to do sales is that they talk about the product. Okay, that they talk about the product. Okay, they talk about the product. Now, I'll just take you a little bit behind. The difference between India and many other economies is that India has been a rising economy for the last 45 years, 50 years. Okay, since the mid 70s till probably about 2018-19, India's GDP or the economic growth has only been on the upswing. Okay, so you see 1975 onwards to 1980s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, all the way to about 2018-19. Okay, the economy has been constantly on an upswing. Okay, so it was a fast moving market. So if you're a business owner, most business owners would be like, okay, this is what I'm providing. The customers are already there. The intent is already there. People would just assess you based on the product and then they would buy. Okay, it's the first time in the history of Indian economy that markets are down, demand is down. And because of that, the supply has overshot demand, which means all of the entrepreneurial activity that has happened from 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, whether it's in a small business segment, whether it's in the organized segment, whether it's a private limited company segment, or even IPO, public limited company segment, all of these companies and small business owners and small shops and individual solopreneur run businesses, they're finding themselves that they're in an oversupplied market and the demand is not there. So they're having to compete and things like that. Okay. Now, quick tip is you can never compete and win. You can never compete and win. You would have heard these terms, in the business parlance, don't compete in the red ocean and like form your own blue ocean and things like that. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. So what used to happen was that a customer would show up to your store, or customer would give you an inquiry, or customer would probably see your ad on a listing, whether on Just Dial or on Urban Clap, or probably see an ad or a flyer in a newspaper. I used to do a lot of flyers in newspapers earlier, and then they would call you, and only the people who were very, very interested or convinced that they wanted to buy a product or a service would call you. Okay, if you run a store, only the people who actually take the effort to come to your store are the ones who actually really want to buy. Yeah. So you'd have a conversion rate which was very high. With every few inquiries that you get, maybe 30-40% conversion rate, because the market was hot, people had money to spend, people wanted to kind of get the benefit of your product or service, and then they would buy. This is the first time that is not happening. The conversion rates have plummeted down from 30% to probably 5%, 2%, or even lower than that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about what is the mindset shift you need to have before you enter a selling situation. What's the mindset shift? This the market that's always hot, it's always growing, is called a supply driven market. Supply driven market, which basically means the demand is already there. What you got to do is figure out how to supply, how to get the product, how to make the product, how to produce the product, manufacture the product, make sure it's on the shop front, right? That's all you got to do. So that's a supply driven market. Now, in a down market, what you need to do is you need to aggregate demand. You got to figure out what are the small pockets of demand that could be there, and you got to just not only capture them, you got to figure out where are the customers who may be convinced to be interested in your product, who may be attracted by your product, and then figure out how to get them to a point where they buy from you. Okay. Now the bad news about this is you got to have advertising and marketing activity which would cost some money. The good news about that is that you'll be playing in a blue ocean, which means you'll be playing in a segment which other people have not thought possible. Let me just make this little diagram. Okay, this diagram was first made by an American fellow called Elias St. Louis in 1890. Okay, and he said that a sale is effected by convinced customers. This is a sale. So if you have 10 convinced customers, one of them would result in this sale. So if you see, this thing is about 10% of this, which means if you have a customer who's convinced they want your product or service, they'll probably buy at a certain percentage. In India, it would be probably 20-30% out of every 2 or 3 out of every 10 people that show up to your store, probably 2 or 3 are going to buy. Okay, but he said the part that people don't see is that this conviction is reached. Conviction is reached from desire. Okay, so for every 10 customers or every 100 customers that show up to the store, you would have probably 10 times as many people with desire, but the desire is not enough to come and buy. Okay, it's out of 100 people, only 10 would probably walk into your store. 100 people that had desire, only 10 would walk into your store. Now the funny part is, in a supply driven market, you only see this part. You only see this part, which is you only see convinced customers. Your skills and your negotiation and the way you ask for money is only geared for a market where this is in plentiful. Okay. And what Elias Elmos said in 1890, because America was a capitalist economy even then, and there was a lot of competition in the market, what he said was, if we can find these desirous customers who are light on intent but numerous in numbers, okay, we can actually figure out how to convert it consistently into conviction and into a sale, which means as soon as I'm able to find thousands of these guys, I'll be able to convert it to hundreds of these guys and tens of these sales. Okay. Then he said, fun part is desire arises from interest. I'm just going to write an I over here. That means for thousands of these, there are tens of thousands of these, interest. Okay. And then all I need to do is figure out how I grab the attention of these guys and get them interested. Okay, so how I grab attention, how I convert it to interest, how I convert this interest to desire, how I convert this desire to conviction, and then I effect the sale. This part is obviously called the sales meeting. Okay, so the actual sale that we have seen or that we have been experiencing for the last 45 years happens in this red box. We are missing the opportunity over here. Okay, so now why is this very essential is that regardless of how well you perform over here, when the markets are down and budgets are not there and commitment or conviction is not there, you can try your level best, you will never reach those 20-30% conversion rates that you were used to. Okay, and then what happens is you got to look at the value of your time. Just like I said, doctors, lawyers, chartered accountants, architects, it's not worth their time to go after customers who may or may not buy. That's why this model starts breaking down in a downtime. For which now what you got to do is you got to go all the way to desire and interest and attraction or attention. Now when I start talking about these things, a lot of people say, I know all of this, Rajat, you know what, I hired a digital marketing agency to see how many people I may get the attention of. They get me a lot of leads, and then I try to call those leads, and these leads are all crap. There is no point doing this because I can get a lot of these leads from Just Dial or doing Facebook ads or paying a digital marketing agency or whatever it is. But this stuff is not easy because I'm going to waste all my time doing this stuff, and the leads are just not that good. That is true. There is no question about that. Yeah. But what really happens is if you get somebody whose attention you've grabbed, if you find somebody whose interest you've garnered and you try to just get them to close a sale, that's not going to happen. You got a couple of steps over here that need to be taken, that the customers need to go through. Okay. And this stuff is not manual friendly, which means it's not worth your time or your employees' time to go after all these leads. Okay, the leads are great, but it's not worth your time or your employees' time to go after these leads. All of these people, which could be tens of thousands, if you run some ads on Facebook or give money to a digital marketing agency, they'll give you tens of thousands of leads. The point is, how do you turn those tens of thousands of leads into buyers? Yeah, that process is something called demand generation. Okay, that process is something called demand generation. Okay, now here's where the crux of the matter is. There is a shift in thinking that you need to have. Supply driven, versus demand generation. This is a shift in thinking. Supply driven model focuses on how fast and how much can I supply, how much better can I supply, quality, quantity, volume. These are the things that come into play. In a demand generation model, the supply by itself means nothing because nobody wants it anyway. But customer emotion, customer attention, customer interest, customer desire, and customer conviction means everything. Okay, what I mean to say is that you're no longer a doctor, lawyer, architect, corporate professional, business owner, or anything like that. You're in the demand generation business. All of us are in the demand generation business. If you want to make money from this market, you are only in one profession, and that profession is demand generation. Of course, for all your respective business, the process of demand generation is different. It could be fine-tuned to your particular business, but you're in the demand generation business. You're not in the business of supplying, because there's already so much supply that nobody wants. Okay, this is a mindset shift, supply driven and demand generation. Now, how do you do demand generation? How do you do this attention, interest? How do you turn this stuff into desire? How do you turn desire into conviction? How do you turn conviction into a sale? Always keep this picture in your mind that the prospect who's over here wants a result which is over here. Everybody is looking for something. Yeah, there was that rock song, everybody is looking for something. Okay, now as long as you understand how your product or your service or you yourself can get these guys from here to here, what you got to do is you got to tap over here. You got to tap into the prospect's desires or pains. You got to tap into your prospect's desires or pains. Okay, literally every product under the sun, every single product or service under the sun, including yours, okay, can fall into 5 categories. 5 categories, and it can fall into one of 5 categories. It can fall into 4 of 5 categories. If you're smart enough, you'll get it to fit 5 of 5 categories. What are these 5 categories? The first category of problem or desire is survival. The second category is replication. The third category is comfort. The fourth category is conformity. The fifth category is class. Okay, everybody in the world takes money out of their wallet and gives it to somebody else in return for survival, replication, comfort, conformity, and class. Survival, replication, comfort, conformity, and class. Now imagine you are a car dealership. I'll just take an example like this. Imagine you're a car dealership. Survival. Survival. What are the different ways that you can figure out that somebody needs this car for their survival? Okay, maybe they travel a lot on the express highway and they want a safe car. Maybe they want a safe car. Survival. They don't want to get into an accident and just be in the wrong car that cannot save them. That's one scenario. There could be another scenario. Maybe this is somebody who's got a high paying job on the other end of town, and every day they need to travel 40 kilometers up and down in order to be on time for this job. They don't want to be late. They don't want to risk it taking an auto rickshaw, going and traveling in the metro, then over there getting another auto rickshaw, in the meantime getting wet in the rains or something like that. They don't want all of this. Okay, so having a good car, even a cheap car, even a Tata Nano, could mean the difference between surviving and not surviving, because a good job gives you good money, improves your chances of survival in the market. Yeah, so that's an angle that you can play into. So you got to understand what's the main driver of this customer. Okay, maybe their driver is replication. Are they a bachelor or a spinster? They're not looking for any car. They're looking for a snazzy car. They're looking for a car within their budget, which may not be super expensive like a Mercedes, because they may be 25, 26 years old or something like that. But maybe they're looking for a snazzy enough car within, let's say, 6 lakh rupees that acts as a magnet for the opposite sex. Yeah, very important. Different kinds of people and different vibes why they want to buy. Okay, so you got survival, then you got replication. Okay, comfort. Comfort. Somebody who wants a chauffeur-driven car, they're already spending 15,000 rupees a month on the driver. So that reduces the 15 grand they would otherwise pay in EMI. So you get them just the right car, which gives them a comfort in the rear seat, and the EMIs are low enough that it accommodates for the price of the driver, and sure, they want to do business with you. Okay, comfort. Conformity. What is conformity? A lot of big crorpatis today are not buying Mercedes and Audi and all of that. Okay, in fact, a lot of people you'll see, in certain parts of town, in certain societies, in certain communities, they say, well, हम यहीं तक ठीक हैं. I don't want to kind of show off a lot, because at the end of the day, I'm a good part of my community. I love my neighbors, I love my friends, I love all these people that I'm surrounded by. I don't want to buy a car that looks too snazzy, too showy, because I'm not that kind of a person. I just want to conform. I just want to have a car that gives me all these functions, but it should be in the same range that other people have. Okay, another extreme example of conformity. Whenever on the outskirts of town, a lot of people sell their land or something, you must have seen, probably it happens in your area as well, or your city or your state as well. They want to buy a muscle car like a white, Toyota Fortuner. That's the standard. Yeah, they'll always buy a white Fortuner. Now the other person who's next door to them, they sell their land. They also get a lot of money. They also want to buy a white Fortuner. They don't want to buy a red Mercedes. No, they want a white Fortuner. The third person sells their land. They also want a white Fortuner. Now you got all these white, there used to be a trend with these white Scorpios running all over town. Now you got the trend with the white Fortuners running all over town, right? So it's always the same kind of car. They want to be just there. Yeah, they don't want a different something. They just want to be just there. Two specific examples I've given you. There could be others. Understand? Class. They want to outshine their friends, neighbors, and family. Yeah, opposite of conformity. Okay, now remember, for class, people usually want to outshine by about 20%. People want to outshine by about 20%. They don't want to go too much overboard. Nobody wants to buy a Humvee. Nobody wants to buy a Bentley or Rolls Royce. They want to outshine by just about 20%. So if the average car in their area is an 8 lakh rupee car, they want to get 12 lakh rupee car or something like that, right? So they just want to outshine by about 20%, just a little ahead. Okay, because if they bought like a Mercedes in a 10 lakh rupee neighborhood, it would just be like, it would just be absurd. So they just want to be slightly better. So it hurts their friends and neighbors or whatever, whoever they're trying to compete against or whatever. Okay, class. Survival, replication, comfort, conformity, and class. You got the 5 big ones. Okay, the 5 big ones, out of which survival and replication are the 2 biggest. Okay, but you got S, R, C, C, C. There are 8 others that are minor drivers. Okay, there are secondary drivers that you can use to close the sale, but I won't go into them over here. Otherwise, this video will be like 3 hours long. Okay, there are 8 other drivers. There are secondary drivers that you use at the time of closing the sale or getting the check out, which I won't go into right now. But if you are focusing on these 5 reasons why people would buy from you, just at the right place. Okay, stationery store. I'm running a stationery store. Somebody comes to buy a painting kit for their kid. I want to buy a watercolor kit or something. Well, why do you want a watercolor kit? The school has something, they made it mandatory. My kid wants to go. Directly related to survival, which means the kid has to comply with the school rules. The school is having this class, they need to have this kit. That's cool, no problem. Replication. Do they want, of course, with a kid and all, it may not be like that relevant, but what is the other driver? Do you really want your kid just to do the bare minimum, or do you think you want to make a painter out of them? Do you think your kid has like some skills? Because we got a painting coach also, we got a coach, we got DVD, we got DVD classes, we got our own CRM where we give out classes, we got our own workshop happening next Sunday, something like that. Okay, so you kick into class. Okay, do they really want to grow their kids' skill set? Okay, so maybe you will be able to figure out maybe 1 or 2 of the 5, or you'll be able to go into all of the 5 depending on what kind of customer you have, but you got to use the right hook and the right intent mechanism in order to convert these customers from attention to interest to desire. Okay, attention to interest to desire. There are many other ways, but I won't go into them right now, like I said, in the interest of time. So now what we have is, we got a customer who wants something because they got an inherent desire or they got a pain that they want to get rid of. You figure out which one of the 5 big drivers that you can hook. Okay, that you can hook. Now here's the thing, always remember in your mind, whoever is less invested in the sale has more leverage. Leverage is power. Okay, whoever is less invested in the sale has more leverage. Leverage is power. Now, the biggest problem that most supply-driven businesses of the old model have, like architects waiting around for the right customer to come, or performance marketers like LIC guys or multi-level marketers waiting for that one big fish or something like that, they're always more invested in the sale than the customer is, because the customer knows they have to spend money and probably also go through a lot of trouble in order to get the end result, right? So the customer is always less invested in the sale, you're always more invested in the sale. You got to create mechanisms which make you less invested in the sale. Okay, some of it is a mindset shift. Okay, I don't need this customer. Okay, mindset shift, I don't need this customer. You got to do the visualization. Yes, I have lots of customers. I really don't need this customer, not at the cost of my terms, not at the cost of my profit. That's a good one. But you can create mechanisms so you have an oversupply of customers. Okay, we do that by product packaging. What is product packaging? How do we create leverage by product packaging? No customer is likely to spend 50,000 rupees, 2 lakh rupees, 20 lakh rupees, or whatever it is in one shot. No customer is willing to spend this kind of money in one shot. They want to think about it. They want to go back and Google. They want to think about, they want to ask their mamaji's, sons, father-in-law, who used the same kind of product or something like that, right? They always want to double check with friends, family, always want to go to Google, etc., right? So what you got to do is you got to figure out what are the drivers. They want it for survival, replication, comfort, conformity, or class, which is the major driver. And then what you're going to do is you're going to strike it with 4 options. 4 options, options A, B, C, and D, which means you're going to tell them every single competitor of yours, or other ways that they can do it themselves. 50 ways to design your own house for maximum open space and, Zen vibes or something like that. Okay. How they can do it themselves. Do it yourself. DIY, do it yourself. Number two, what are the different ways you can hire somebody to do it for you? What are the top competitors in the market? How much do they charge? What do they provide? What are the main things to look for before you sign up with any of them? Okay, so you're providing solid, good information. All this is chargeable information. You can charge for all of this information. The third thing is, how can you, get a good design in your mind? Sir, ma'am, you're building a new house. You want an architect to design it for you, but what's there in your own mind? What are the things that you would like to control? What are the things you would not like other people to decide for you? What is the vibe that you want in your house? Do you have favorite color schemes? Do you know what color schemes actually fit best into the house? They are the most, time resistant, and they are the easiest to maintain. Would you like to know? Okay, yes, yeah. I want to have my own call. And then I want to outsource certain parts to the architect. Yeah, very important. What is the best way to create a done with you model where what are the things you should and you can control? What are the things you should outsource? When you outsource, what are the things you need to know about pricing? What are the things you need to know about terms? What are you things you need to know about delivery? What are the things you need to know about quality? Who are the top 5 suppliers in the market, etc. Yeah, provide this information upfront, because what's going to happen is if you focus only on your product, what's going to happen is customers are going to think that's great information. Now let me go back and speak to 4 other people. Why do they need to go to speak to 4 other people? I'll provide all the information up front. Great thing is you can actually make money on all of this information. Now I have a healthcare business where I provide healthcare installations in the household, and these installations cost 3 to 5 lakh rupees. I know when a customer walks into my door, they're not going to buy straight up front. Yeah. So I've created a 900 rupee book, which they can get an ebook download if they are remote. If they come to my store, I say first spend 900 bucks, get this ebook which talks about how to achieve your health goals without ever doing business with me. You need to know this, because once you actually come in to provide, to do some installation, spend some money, you need to know all these things. They spend 900 bucks, I give them the book, they go home, read it. Now all of this information is being provided by me, and in those books are links where they can find other information. And all of this information that I found from Google, I have made copies of it on my own website, so they can actually read it within my environment. Okay, they can read all of this within my environment. Then There are different ways in which they can actually get this stuff done by other people. I've tied up with 4 other people. My product is actually the highest premium in the market, which means, it's the most expensive. But if they want to do business with somebody who's 1/3 the cost, 1/2 the cost, or whatever, I've made tie-ups with all of those people. So I say, if you want to go in at this price level, we'll be able to offer you this brand. Okay, when they actually pay me that money, I don't service the customer myself. I actually pay out to my nearest competitor and say, the customer is, the payment is yours, the profit is yours, everything is yours. I just keep a little bit of money for myself for processing fees. But remember that the customer is mine, which means what? All of the servicing, post-sales, 5-year relationship, the maintenance contracts, everything belongs to me. You can sell your product and you can make the profit on it, but remember, the customer belongs to me. The face in front of the customer will always be me, because why? The customer is going to come back and they want an upgrade a few years later. They going to want allied products a few months later. I want to be the person who's selling everything to them. Okay, so I don't drive them towards only my product where I stand to make the highest profit. I say, if your budget is not there, you can buy this other low price product and we'll make sure that you're serviced well. Okay, so I own the services contracts, maintenance contracts, all of this stuff. Okay, you want to provide all these options to your customer. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to provide a package. A package is a high ticket item. Okay, now in the Startup Frat Academy, which is our business coaching enterprise, I provide all of this stuff. Okay, this is my do-it-yourself product, the Facebook Hangout, where I'm inviting you to go and join. It's free to join, but I provide lots of do-it-yourself information. Lots of do-it-yourself information. If you want to do it with us, we have a $200 product over here, $200. If you want us to work with us and have us do it for you while you focus on the important parts of the business, there's a $500 product over here. Okay, you want the whole package, all of this combined, the $1,000 product over here, which means we will write everything that happens on your website. We will build your websites. We will write everything that goes on your Facebook ads. We will tell you exactly what to say, with the camera in front of your face so that you create a brand out of yourself. We will make sure that you get the leads. Of course, the advertising cost and all of that is yours, but we'll do everything for you. And within 30 days, your business will, go a sea change. It's a $1,000 service. Okay, everybody's not going to buy a $1,000 service, so we got all these smaller components. If you want to do it yourself, here you go. Okay, do it yourself is free. You want to do it with us, $200. You want us to come in and do it for you, $500. Okay, so we got all these layers of services, and all of them belong to us. It's not that we provide all of our own services. We highly recommend certain softwares that you use that are already available in the market. Yeah, but if you come work with us and you help us do it with you, the revenue, actually we drive the revenue to the software company, and we have a partnership with them saying, we truly believe that your software is the best. We have a lot of customers who could potentially gain from this software. Now imagine if we are able to convince a customer to use your software, do I get something out of that? And the software company will say, sure. You can take 15%, 20%, whatever it is. And absolutely, if we drive a customer to them at no extra cost to the customer, we get some kickbacks from the software company. Very simple. A lot of people who are into affiliate marketing or multi-level marketing or real estate marketing or LIC selling, you would resonate with that. Yeah. But the biggest problem is that driving traffic or driving a customer straight to a third-party product does not work anymore, because the third-party product by itself does not solve their problem. So you got to be the face that solves the problem. You got to be the face that solves the problem, and you can drive customer to buy mutual funds, LIC, real estate, whatever you want, they'll buy from you because they trust you first. So you got to build your trust first. Okay. Now, this is what happens. So this is the prospect. They have some desires or pains, a result that they want. There are some drivers. They're either survival, replication, comfort, conformity, or class. And then you have your product, service, or yourself, which is broken into DIY, DFY, DWI, or a complete package. Okay, that's how you got a position. Now, how do you make the sale? How do you actually make the sale in the meeting? Assuming you've done all of that, you've done your digital marketing, you've provided an information product to the customer that builds the trust. You've probably spoken to the customer. Remember, the number one thing that builds trust in front of the customer, trust and credibility in front of the customer, is not your certifications, is not your testimonials, it's not your brand name. The number one thing that builds trust in front of your customer is the way you handle the interaction with them. Is the way you handle the interaction with them, which is another point where leverage comes in. If you don't want the sale as much as the customer wants to work with you, you have something called leverage. How do you build leverage? Very simple. Let's talk about the actual interaction, the part which makes you sweat, the part which makes your hand shake every time you ask for the check. There are 8 parts to this interaction. There are things that the customer wants, and there are things that the seller or salesperson wants. What does the customer want? The customer wants to know why I need to buy from you. Why do I even need this product? Okay. Then can I trust you or not? Need trust. The third thing is there should be a point in the sales conversation where you ask them, so why is it that you have come to me? How can I help you? And this is about 30% of the, if you're doing a sales meeting or interaction for, let's say, about an hour for a high ticket service or product, about 30%, which is about 20 minutes down the meeting, you're going to say, it seems that you know a lot about this industry. Why is it that you can't solve this problem yourself? And then they got to say, well, I need you. Okay, well, I need you. I need your help. For whatever reason, I'm unable to do it. I am unable to figure out the budget. I don't trust anyone. I tried to do it. I failed. Whatever the reason is, okay, they have to ask for your help. Okay, and the last one is urgency. Urgency. This is the part that a lot of people miss. These 2 parts, a lot of people miss. They provide their product, they provide the service, they provide 100 reasons why you can trust me. I've got these 100 testimonials. I have a brand name in the market, yada, yada, yada. They forget that the customer never asks for their help. They got to bring the sales to a point where the customer says, yes, you seem to be the right person. I need your help. Okay, number 1. Number 2, you got to give them enough reasons why they should do it now. So they don't tell you at the end, hey, let me go back and think about it. Google, Facebook, Amazon, you talk to my spouse. Let me call my Mamaji's son's father-in-law because, he's done something of the same type or something like that. Okay, so you got to build all of these questions into the interaction. So there's 4 parts that the customer wants, and there's 4 parts that you want. You want to ask, do you have budget to solve this problem? The customer says, I want to hire a gym trainer. You're the gym trainer. You say, that's fine. Trainer is fine. Trainer is expensive. What else have you done to achieve the health that you so badly want? What else have you done to achieve the health that you so badly want? Maybe they're in the 20, 30 age group where they want to look good so they can attract a good boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever it is. What else have you done in order to look attractive to the opposite sex? Just have these questions up front. It's not your job to be liked by the customer. It's your job to be paid by the customer. In order to be paid, remember, people always do business with an authority. People always do business with an authority. The number 1 way you can establish authority is by asking tough questions. Okay, these people may be older to you, they may be richer than you, they may be more socially eminent than you, it doesn't matter. As long as they're asking you for help, it gives you the right to ask the tough questions. Why do you want to get fit? Well, I'm 27, my parents have been trying to get me married. Because I'm overweight, I'm unable to find the right mate, or unable to find the right spouse. Okay, that's fine. What else have you done to attract the opposite sex? Boom. In 5 seconds, you would have reached deep into their soul and pulled out the main thing. And they'll say, well, I bought a nice car. I try to look good. I go to the salon, whatever it is. They're already doing something to achieve the goal that they want. The gym trainer is the last of their problems. Okay. So the budget, do you have budget? How much do they spend on these salons? How much do they spend on their car EMI? How much do they spend on the car petrol? Yeah, you gotta get an understanding of how much budget they have. Authority, they may have the budget, but are they the ones spending the money, or is their parents, or is their boss? Who's the person who's spending the money? Very, very important. You'll be surprised. The same healthcare consulting business I told you about, 3 lakh rupees. I have met people who are driving Mercedes cars who are 50 years of age. They have 2 kids of their own. And right at the point of getting the check out, you realize that in their family system, the big daddy who's 80 years old, who's already retired, holds the purse to the entire household. Never figured that out. Thought that this 50-year-old guy with his spouse is probably the final decision taker. Never bothered to ask. And after 3 meetings, deals have slipped from my hand. And I felt like a fool. Always got to ask. Authority. The third is, how badly do you need this? Need. This is also need. This is also need. You got to ask them, how badly do you need this? Okay, what else have you done? How else have you failed? Why don't you do this instead? Why don't you do the other thing instead? There are other ways to achieve the same result that you want to achieve. Why haven't you tried them? At which point they will say, they will give you the exact reason why they need your help. Okay. And then again you got timeline, which is urgency. You say assuming, that's the power statement, assuming that you found the exact right solution and assuming that it was within your budget of 20,000 rupees. Would there be anything else, Mr. or Miss Prospect, that would stand in the way of you cutting this check today? Okay, always ask the difficult questions. Assuming, always ask this. This is called an assumptive close. There are many other types of close. There's something called a trident close. There's something called a rebound close. I won't go into that in the interest of time. But assumptive close, very, very important. A lot of people talk about it, but nobody ever tells you the right way to use it because nobody is using it the right way themselves. Okay, and the way you do it is, Mr. Prospect, Miss Prospect, you've told me a lot. I really respect all those things that you shared with me. Now, assuming that I could show you something that falls within your budget and it takes care of all the concerns that you already told me about, would there be anything else standing in the way of you cutting this check now? Okay, and then if they say no, there's nothing, I want to do business now, and then you got to go into urgency mode where you got to provide two types of urgency: strategic urgency and tactical urgency. Strategic urgency is if they don't do this now, why is the goal going to become more difficult tomorrow? That's number one. And tactical urgency is if they don't do business with you now, why is your availability or your prices going to change tomorrow? Yeah, we are in Diwali season, we are giving a 20% discount. You'll do it today, otherwise December, we don't know. Okay, or you can say, well, offer is available only till stocks last, and the stocks are running out fast. And the stocks finish, then you got to wait for the next model to come. It will come in March or April, so you got to wait another 4 months before you can show off that nice flashy car. Yeah, and if you've done the assumptive close right and you do this tactical and strategic urgency right, you can ask for the check and you will get the check. Not 100% of the time, about 40% of the time, maybe 30% of the time. Yeah, which brings me to the other stuff. How do you do all of this other stuff that I spoke to you about? Attention, interest, desire, conviction. All of this needs to be automated. And Facebook ads is not enough. What you do with those Facebook leads is important. You will hear a lot of people say, I did the Facebook ads, I got the leads, but when I called them, it's not a good use of my time. Of course it's not. A good Facebook agency will give you 10,000 leads a month. 10,000 leads a month. Okay, so that's 10,000, assuming it takes you, in a day, you can potentially call 70 people and you will have 5 to 7 good conversations. So divide this by 70 per day. Okay, that's 150. 100, it will take you 150 days to chase these leads. So you got to have automated systems to filter this out using the messaging I just said. Okay, using the messaging I just said. If you want more information around this, if you want to find out how how Startup Frat can also help you, we got our own programs. But first, I'd like to invite you to our sales masterclass, which is a recorded masterclass worth 700 rupees. The 700 rupee masterclass, which walks through all of these steps and how you can do it yourself. All the do-it-yourself stuff is free from our side. It's a 1-hour masterclass. Watch it, and you can head over to startupfrat.club/sales. startupfrat.club/sales. You can't stop that class, you can't fast forward that class, you can't do anything. So make sure you take an hour and you can watch that class, take notes, and you can literally build this entire sales program for yourself, for your business. Okay, towards the end of that masterclass, you will see some offers of the month if you want to work with us, which means if you want to bring in the Startup Frat team to help you get this set up and running within 30 days or less. Yeah, and if you're watching this video, you'd like to see how other people have benefited. You want to be, on Friday at 8:30, you want to be live. You want to show over to the Hangout, Facebook Hangout. So if you're not in the Facebook Hangout yet, startupfrat.club/Facebook, and you will see customer studies live interviews where you can actually ask me questions live. This interview will be about 1 hour. You can ask our community member these questions, who's going to be the celebrity guest of the day, and I'm going to be the celebrity host and the Holy Ghost of the day. So you can ask me questions over there. You can ask him questions, and you can take your decision how you want to do it best. Absolutely, if you want to consider using Startup Frat services, they're about in the $1,000 range. So if you watch the masterclass startupfrat.club/sales, you will see how this entire program works. You will see how you can do it yourself if you take notes. And if you want to work with us, you will see an offer of the month. That'll probably be the lowest price ever that you will ever see. Okay, so with that, I'm signing out. I look forward to seeing you in the Hangout, and I look forward to seeing you at 8:30 on Friday as well. See you. Bye-bye.